Question number 6, solve the quadratic equations by factoring. So I'm going to do problem number C, and then you do A, B, and D. So first off, to do this by factoring, you have to get it equal to 0 on both sides. So I'm adding 8 to both sides and getting equal to 0. Next thing, you need to factor, and we use a box for that. Or at least I do. I put my 5x squared here. This is in standard form. I put my 8 here. I know that the sum needs to, whatever goes in these two boxes need to add to negative 14x. And I know the product needs to multiply to these two same things, and that's 40x squared. So I need to find something that when I multiply these two together, they become negative 14x. So I'm looking at this, and I could try 1x and 40x. Those two don't add to negative 14, and even if I change them to negative, they won't. But I'm also just going to jump to negative 4x and negative 10x. These two multiply to positive 40x squared, but they add to negative 14x. So I have found what goes in these boxes, negative 10x and negative 4x. And now I need to figure out what goes on the outside. So I'm going to pull up the greatest common factor here. 5 and 10. Out of 5 and 10, the greatest common factor is 5. And out of x and x squared, the greatest common factor is x. And then I just need to ask myself, what goes here so I can multiply it out? 5x times what gives me 5x squared? That's x. 5x times negative 2 gives me negative 10. X times negative 4 gives me negative 4x. So I have 5x minus 4 times x minus 2 equals 0. So this is the factored form. And now I just need to set each one equal to 0. 5x minus 4 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. Add 4 to both sides. That's 5x equals 4. Divide by 5. X equals 4/5. Add 2. X equals 2. So I solved by factoring. So those are my two solutions. Here for number 7, it says solve using the quadratic formula. So I'm going to do 7, A, and you do B. Remember, the quadratic formula is the opposite of b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So you just need to identify if it's equal to 0 and it's in standard form, your a value is the coefficient of the x squared, b value is the coefficient of the x, and your c value is the constant. So we've got a equals 3, b equals 4, and c equals 10. So now I just need to plug them in the quadratic formula. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root, so opposite of 4 plus or minus 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times 10 all over 2 times 3. And now it's just a matter of order of operations. I need to kind of do what's inside here. So negative 4 equals the square root of 16 minus 4 times 3 times 10, which is 120 all over 6. And then 16 minus 120 is negative 104. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 104 over 6. And remember, if you have a square root of a negative number, we're talking an imaginary number now. You can take out that negative number. So we've got negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 104, but now it's I over 6. Remember, square root of negative 1 is the imaginary. It's I. And you could maybe simplify, let's see, 104 divided by 4. There could be some simplification here, but that's not something that I'm going to focus on right now. The biggest thing is knowing how to use the quadratic formula and recognizing if there's a negative under the square root, that's really an imaginary number and you write it as I. So if you leave it at this, we're going to call that good enough for now.